Some great intro music right there. I love it. Welcome everybody. Spincast. Sunday nights. We're live now. I'm Brian Kellison. We got Brian White, Marblehead, and Lee Zavries respectively. Everyone have a good weekend and a good week.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Mine was pretty good.
Good. Brian's recovering from a knee surgery. Lee is waiting until some Mexico trip to start riding his bike. It's all right.
Yeah, you can't ride your bike before Mexico or during Mexico or.
The kitty cat is having for the audio audience. Lee has a kitty cat that's just rubbing his head and clawing his face with paw. So that's probably good. Let's jump into it. So we've talked ad nauseum now, it seems like, but it's always fun because that's what we do in this community is talk about things related to racing, casual, competitive, and the categorization, which we touched on, was it last week? 2 weeks ago. It was 2 weeks ago after my first echelon thing where I got watts per kilo, right? Then I did the echelon yesterday. I got first, 51st. So I at least got a first in my number. My finishing place. And there's been some rumors, maybe Brian can confirm this, from like Zwift officials saying that there might be a new ranking system or something else. And
yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, James Bailey, I've seen two different posts where he said a ranking system is coming. He didn't specifically say, but it was like the turn of the year, December, and then one was January. So it's coming soon. And then Nathan Guerrera on his stream, I can't remember the exact wording, but he did say a ranking system. I know, I can't remember where I thought this. Oh, go ahead.
I need to chime in. Yeah. Ranking or categories?
Well, they said a race ranking, like a ranking system. That's what Bailey had said, and somewhere I have a screenshot of it.
It seems like results creates the ranking, right?
Yeah, and here is, and I believe Casey Schumann said this on stream, and I'd also thought this about the same time we had that Zwift ranking beta thing. They announced Indy Velo and George, and Bjorn, like that. They're partnering to work with Indy Velo for verification. Well, the Zwift ranking, because there for a while, Zwift Power had the Zwift Power, and then you had your Zwift ranking. There was two different things for the first few months of this year. Well, about the time they partnered with Indy Velo, the ranking went away. So I'm curious if behind the scenes, that Indy Velo style of ranking is coming to Zwift, which would make sense. The timing could have been a coincidence, but they are partnering with them. The national championships, you have to get verified through them. So maybe there's something more to that behind the scenes.
For the uninitiated, because this is like what, February, April, sometimes you're talking about all these things kind of happened at the same time. The Zwift Racing, which is the zwiftracing.app website, was sort of picking up steam. It was a new beta sort of thing. And then Indy Velo sort of came out of the shadows. Now, categorization is not ranking, but there is Zwift Power ranking. Yeah. And those are different than Zwift. Was it Zwift Racing? What is it? What I'm confused now. See, I'm confused. Yeah. It's zwiftracing.app. Yes.
That is correct.
That's ranking, not categorization.
Yeah, that's a total third-party thing. To where I looked it up because on Casey's stream, or no, your stream, we were discussing it. You and Casey are within like 30 to 50 points away from each other or something.
Oh yeah, okay. I didn't remember you mentioned that. Yeah.
Casey can, and before surgery, I could compete with the A's on flat dish courses. Casey is much better at the VO2 side of it, so he's able, and he races almost every day. So like he has a lot of results. He can finish high, and I assume here in a few months I'll be back to finishing high with the B's, or maybe even get into A. The Zwift Racing app goes off the races. Now, I don't know the details on it because I've only kind of used the Zwift Racing app for once that chasing tour at the beginning of the year, and then I just got burnt out racing it, every day for 3 weeks. So what happened is Casey would race every single day, and he would we would in the chasing tour, we would finish together. You know what I mean? Like I might be a spot or two in front of him. He might be a spot or two in front of me. Our rankings, once he started adding in those other races and I was just doing training, I started going down and he started going up, because he was racing more. So
because
that was kind of weird.
This is results-based ranking.
Yeah.
Right. My question is it, because I think from what I understand, I have a profile on zwiftracing.app. I just I don't spend a lot of time diving into it because it's just whatever.
Yeah.
It's like chess.com to a certain extent, because people from RGT told me about it, Dan Connolly, some other people. And it is result plus or minus or whatever it is, or calculated into quality of opponent. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And so
Casey,
go ahead.
That's why Casey went up, because he was racing on the European. You know what I mean? Those guys in Europe are a lot better because he races in a day.
And those are their Zwift Racing app rankings or Zwift Power rankings?
Zwift. Well, the Zwift Racing app is where he almost got up to into the platinum, and he was hovering right around, I think, a 130 on the Zwift Power, ranking. So Zwift needs to clean up. If they're bringing out a ranking system, they need to clean things up and get one thing to look at. Because Zwift Racing app's a third-party thing, kind of like Zwift Power started as.
Yeah.
So now that Zwift owns Zwift Power, they need to work together and get Zwift Power either completely integrated into Zwift.com. Because if we went and look at
we've argued that already. Yeah.
So they need to do that. Now, I assume once they initiate their ranking system, the Zwift Power ranking will disappear, and it'll be your Zwift Racing rank, or whatever the hell they're going to call it.
So my question is now another question, because I'm interviewing you for some reason. No, the thing we talked about right before we went on the air was the Zwift ranking is going to be integrated into Zwift, or the theory is it's going to be this, because you talked about the two people that are kind of confirming this.
Yeah.
But does that affect categorization, or is it going to be a hybrid of these two things? Or that's the initial question, is does this affect categories?
I would say categories would be gone.
Yep,
it'd
that's
be
my
all
thought
mass
too.
Start. Yeah, it would be all mass start, and it's a ladder ranking system, so it doesn't matter who you're racing against. I mean, it matters, but it doesn't matter who you're starting against. Everyone races together, and your rank is filtered by who your opponents are.
You're saying across the board, so no more letters, and people just show up and race.
Here's a race. This is what you do. So, for example, with a ladder system, if you're ranked 1,000, and every single person in your race is ranked better than 1,000, if you beat a bunch of those guys, you move up. If you're ranked 1,000 and everyone else in the race is ranked 2,000 and lower, and you don't win, you go down. So it's strictly a weighted system of who you're racing against, which is way easier for organizers.
Yes, and Velo's system is that way. There's up to 7 pens. Obviously they have bots, so there might be 100 bots in your pen, 15 real people, but those bots and those 15 people have the same whatever ranking in Velo, however they do it. They've always been kind of coy about it, so we don't know the details, but we have the idea. And if I start to race and ride 3-4 kilometers, I have to finish it, or it literally penalizes you. It moves you up to the winners, ranking. So I did a Zwift Academy race today.
Wait, hold on. If you leave a race, you get the points of the winners.
That way you can't sandbag to drop. If I enter a race And like I want to be C right now because I'm rehabbing. Like I can't compete. I finished 130 something out of 200 Bs today. Like, it was everything I could do. So if I would have just said hell with this and quit event, I would have got the points to push me up as the winner. So the 100, whatever the number it is, the 100 points that the winner got, I would have got those points because I left the event.
That's to discourage sandbagging. That's their theory.
That's to discourage sandbagging and people from, okay, whatever. Like I'm tired of this race and quit. It penalizes you. I don't know if they refined it since the summer,
okay. All right.
But that's how it was working then. And I didn't do much racing up until it went public. And the bots that I was in and the humans that got in my same pen, they were relatively like the humans aspect, like they were at match with me. There was a couple oddballs that were like much stronger, but they were progressing through. So, like I know Ian Mulligan was one of them. He was stronger than me for sure. After 3, 4, 5 races, he quit being in my pen because he improved. So, and I think
the theory is that it's going to self-regulate itself. Like it's like that. Right. It's good enough to regulate itself.
Yeah. And I'm racing against bots in there because it was very few people. And now there's so many more humans. Like it's actually I'm really curious what the user base is. But the bots for the first, say 15 races, I was winning by 3, 4, 5, 10 minutes, like just off the front, like doing zone 2. And then like once I got my ranking, like it was like I had to work my ass off, like legit workout, just like a ZRL race and that's kind of what I'm looking for. Like today in that race, I'm still a B, but I can't ride like a B. So, but that goes within the thing. Like there was people much stronger than, probably should be in the ACAT, but that's the thing. I'm not going to do much racing. I just did it for the Zwift Academy thing. So I'm curious of how they're going to approach that. It might be a hybrid system. It might be, it goes off all your rides and kind of gives you a rough thing. So say if I ride for 3 months at 2.5 watts per kilogram, I get thrown into C, but I can do more. I don't know. That's going to be an interesting thing to see as well. So I'm excited for it. I don't know how it's going to be, but anything to improve what we got now, because I'm right now on the bottom of B, because I can just barely hit the bottom of B cat, and it's not even close to me. Yeah, right now. Yeah, I went
you're a month away from knee surgery and you're a bottom B.
Yeah, and jerk.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I mean, this is good news, but
it's impressive.
Yeah. This is
I went
more
from being
like
A- to C+. That's what I told Casey Schum today. A- to C+ today, because like I can't do racing. I can't do the 3.2 watts per kilogram, but I'm sure if I just sit down and hold 3.2, I can.
So we're going to remove all these numbers. Now people are not going to be like, oh, I'm 4 points. It's just going to be, I race.
Yeah.
If that's the way it's going to be, I love it. I'm into it.
You're going to have a number. It'd just be like, I'm 1472.
I already have a number. I'm a category 2, but I don't really know it's like I just show up to a race and race.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's essentially, to me, it's going to be like RGT. That's what I hope. Like I love the mass start races. I know some people don't like them, but I love them because I'm racing the people around me. They might be better. They might be worse. My job is to finish as far up in the pack as I can.
Well,
some days it doesn't happen.
Okay. So what they need to do, so for me, this is what I want. If this happens, they need numbers for events. You need to have a number on or at least a jersey color to know who's like, if you race mass start, you need to know who's who. So that I missed the break with the one other person that I would be competing with, right? It's not a category thing, but it's like I know the number.
Your only goal in every race is to do as good as possible. And as a race, say if you have 100 people in a race, as the race progresses, you're going to know who you're racing against, because the slower people are going to drop off the back and form their own little mini race at the back, while the fast guys are either breaking away and so that brings it to it is you don't know who's in your class. You just got to go. If you see a break, you go, I should probably go, because who knows? Because the thing is, if those guys beat you, they move up. They are now, they may already be a higher rank than you.
Okay, so the current way would be, okay, let's say I'm still a B, even though I'm not a B anymore. And I see 3 really strong A's go, but I don't know they're 3 strong A's. And I go and I burn a ton of matches to try to go with 3 A's. And then I fall back. But all the other B's sit in and go, well, you just wasted a bunch of your energy and now it affected your result. But if one B was in that break of 2 other A's, then it would be, hey, I need to go in that break because that's somebody that's threatening to me. Instead of just randomly going, well, I'm going to just burn a bunch of energy to try to get away with 3 other people that I don't know who they are.
Or
so
I could see instead of A, B, or C, they actually put your number.
No, that's why I'm saying like number
989.
Like, yeah. I did the district road race out here. It was 40 to 44 and 45 to 49 raced together. They changed up the numbers at signups. So usually they do like the higher number is like if it was the 400s, it'd be like 400 to 420 or 430. And then 450 and above or backwards, like 499 and backwards, like 499, 498, that would be the 45-year-olds. They didn't do that. And I didn't really know who was in the thing. And I was tired and gassed. And I was in a group, in the front group, breakaway, whatever. And I was with another 45 plus guy that I was racing with. So we were in the breakaway, could have been 1-2 or whatever. Another one came over and it was just other 40-year-olds or 40 to 44s. And I kind of didn't know who was who, and I was looking at numbers, and I didn't have that. But if it was like I could have quickly seen who was who, that would have been helpful for strategy. But if it's just like there's nothing, there's no indicators in Zwift, unless you're in the GP or I don't know what maybe it's the World Championships. They have numbers, but before that, it's just like I just put on a green hat, and that's me. Like, oh, people know me in my team time trial. There needs to be a number, like you can. It should be nice to be able to populate a number every time you spool up an event, you get numbers on your jersey.
I could see them doing something like that. I think it'll open up an entire new form of racing where if everything's mass start, you just join a race and your only goal every race is to do as good as you can.
Yeah, I'm for that because what's going to happen is the people that have the old mentality of like, oh, I can't hang with the 4.5 watts per kilo or the whatever. You're just racing on instinct to a certain extent, and trying to do the best you can because you don't know who's who, but you will like.
You learn names.
Yeah, you kind of know like when we would race RGT on Tuesdays, I know Stefan O'Day had a good sprint, so I was like, oh, I got to make sure he's not around for the sprint at the end, or I got to do whatever I need to do. You start to meet people. That's like the Tuesday crit or the ZRL.
Well,
the ZRL, I don't know if you know other people. It's just a blob that just goes in sprints.
Well, in ZRL, you're racing against the same people every weekend, the same 80
There's like
guys.
400,000 people.
Well, that's in like depending on your division. Like there's 8 teams or whatever per.
Yeah.
But I mean, what'll happen eventually is you're just going to start scouting out races. They might not have a ranking shown on screen. But what'll happen is you sign up for a race this Thursday. You're going to look at who signed up for those races. You're going to look at the ranking and go, okay, that guy I got to watch for. That guy I got to beat. Can't let that guy beat me. You're going to know going into. There's going to be more, I would say, like strategic pre-race stuff, which is fun, to do.
So perfect segue. We've touched on this for a while. It's cool. I'm looking forward to ranking, if it's ranking and elimination of categories or auto categorization or whatever, results based, age based, whatever, experience based, something. Just let's get something new.
It's got to improve. That's the best bottom point.
And if it's a hybrid between, because Casey was talking to me yesterday, that I was like, I don't even care about casual racing. Like you could have random people show up and I don't care. I don't care if they're filtered out. I don't care if they're going 1,000 miles an hour. If they ride off the front, that's fine. That's casual. But like competitive, where it's like try to verify or you pay an entry fee, like echelon, that's where I care about this the most. But obviously it's the community wants this. So it needs to be across the board. Segue into going back to my, like, we're bringing up my watts per kilo thing from the first race. So I was talking with a fellow competitor. This is the sort of thing, is like, I race with Ned Bowen, who is a draft rider. Very good. He's my age group. We've raced in the last 2 national championships. I know Ned. He was just in the echelon with me. He raced, and then we were talking. We were just talking off after the race, and he didn't know, because he watched my stream, and he didn't know that I'd been filtered. Like, he didn't know, and so he was like, "Oh, sorry to hear that." I'm like, "I'm okay with it. It doesn't bother me." It's like, whatever. Because I asked him, like, "Why are you racing in A's? Were you racing up, or did you get watts per kilo again?" And then he alluded to the fact that the promoters have settings that we might not know about, and this is on there. So he was saying that maybe Echelon has the watts per kilo setting set on for their sort of to ping this sort of thing that happened, and that's fine. They're the promoters; they get to do whatever you want. But then I was asking, but ZRL has people that are like 4.6 and whatever. ZRL probably turns it off, and that's why we can't use 2 similar events, because they're set up. They're set up. The regulation, or the back end of the promoter that sets up the event, has different settings, and they get to choose that. And so that was new to me, and I was like, "Oh wow, I didn't know that." So that's probably why we're all hoping that this new thing won't put the pressure on the promoters. Alleviates some of the pressure off of Zwift, and the people that are racing in the community get to just race and sort of like try to work on this sort of better racing mentality, instead of like, "Oh, I can't," the discouraged because someone does this, or, hey, immediately saying that this person isn't real or in the wrong category. If they're in the A and they're going too hard, they're too fast, they're too strong, they're unreal. And if they're in a B and they're racing against other Bs and they're going too hard and too fast, oh, they should be in this thing. And flag. Right. That's the mentality we got to get out. It's more of like, you're in the race, it's the race, you race, results.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's what,
something I'm looking forward to is, like, there is no clear within Echelon Racing League. It says we use Zwift category enforcement. It doesn't say we have our own set of rules.
Right,
but I got mad. I wasn't even in the race. I got mad because I'm watching you. You race phenomenally. Mullins tagged along behind you, and you got a breakaway. You paid your entry fee, which majority of Zwift racing doesn't have, and you got bumped up into A, where Mullins also got WKG and didn't get bumped to
At
A.
least on
He's still
Zwift
in
Power,
B.
we don't know for sure. Just to be clear, we don't know
Just
for
what we
sure,
can
and
see,
we've never reached out to it's
Kevin Mullins.
Kevin Mullins. So if Kevin wants to ping me, or if he's listening or whatever, if anyone knows him, say that, like, we're just trying to figure out, did he get the same, because when we did the analysis, when Lee and I did it, my ZFTP increased, and that's why I moved into A.
Yeah.
And that's where it kind of hit it. But that's where you're seeing the discrepancies from the event in ZRL people that are doing like 4.6 watts per kilo for 20 minutes, and they're not getting watt per kiloed.
Scott, we saw he was in A, but
he was racing with A. So
says,
he either raced up. That's why I asked Ned when I talked to Ned. He either chose to race up, which people can do, or he'd been upgraded.
Yeah, and Zwift Power might have a delay because it was like 3 or 4 days before Zwift Power.
It took a while for me, and we don't know if we don't know if it. So that's the thing, is it's 2 different things. It's Zwift Power, which you opt in, and then there's Zwift.com, which you can't see. And Lee brought that up to me. You should, because the categorization, you should be able to see your fellow competitors' category. At least, like, if I'm racing with somebody and I'm like, "Oh yeah, you're a cat too," you see it in the results. Like, when you official results for outside, if whoever comes at first, second, third, whatever, you see their category next to you. So like, it's cat 1, 2, 3. So,
and something too that I'm looking forward to once I start is finding out about my whoosh, what their racing is. I mean, I showed up for a race and I was the only one, so I think they're going to have a human issue, which they did try to address sometime in the past few weeks. And now, instead of having like 5 or 6 worlds available, they have 1 or it might be like Zwift. You have a main world and then a rotating world to get people on the same, world so they can ride together.
This is the Indivillo approach. This is hey, people want more stuff. Like you, Brian, you're somebody who wants more stuff, but then you're diluting the activity, or diluting the amount of people doing activities in one centralized area. Yeah.
So I understand Indivillo's their point. They don't have 20,000 people in the middle of the day riding. With Zwift, I just want less of these small loopy worlds and more expanded Watopia, France, and Mercury. But
you want rebel routes.
Yeah. My Whoosh, from what I can see, their worlds are enormous. So I tried riding it the other day, but I wanted to dual record with Indivillo, and I was doing a Zwift Academy thing, so I couldn't use,
Excuses.
It sucked. But it also took like 30 minutes update because it was like a 40 gigabyte update. I hadn't had it open 6
my
weeks.
Whoosh updates take a while.
Jeez.
They take a while.
But we'll see. I'm hoping this week I'll start to get a few longer rides and I start experiencing that and maybe show up for some of these guaranteed per se human races, to where I did see I think it's on Tuesday, they're going to start having kind of like a Tuesday tune-up where so
the one thing that my Whoosh did say, because they sent an email out, they've been sending a bunch of email outs, or people like, oh, they wanted to sign up for the Sunday Race Club, which is like the verified once a week, 3:00 in the morning for me.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, there's the time frame you need to sign up. Like, there's no, like, it's Monday through Thursday. Yep. If you don't sign up, you don't get to race. There's no late entry. There's no, hey, I need, and they were very clear that this is the way they're running their thing. Yeah,
I tried doing it before surgery, and it was on a Friday. I was like, oh, I'll just jump into this on Sunday because it's 6 a.m. And I couldn't do it. I didn't know.
Yeah. Yep. Well, that's the thing. I did that too when I was even before the newest update, when it was still like the older UI, and I was like, oh, I'm thinking about doing it, and I'm kind of wishy-washy on, maybe I can do it, whatever. It's it's 3 a.m. or whatever, and I'm like, oh, I'll do it, and then I look at it and it's registration closed. So you have to get in that cadence of, it's like anything. You're like, oh, I'm buying tickets for this band. It's like you can buy it right away and get the ticket you want, or showing up to your race early and you get at the early pin position, so you can start at the early part of the pen. That's the thing. It's like RGT was like that. It didn't have any of the time to join the event. Like, we got this sort of automated, we get comfortable with certain things where it's like, you just look at the watch and remember, like, oh, I have a race in like 10 minutes, so go warm up on wherever. And if it doesn't ping you, you still need to show up to the race. You just have to remember.
My Whoosh is difficult because they don't calculate your local time. It's -6 UTC, and you got to like figure that out. And then sometimes you forget because it's I missed one of the human group rides because of that, because I'm like, oh, I still have 2 hours for it. Well, no, it was 2 hours before I thought it was. You know what I mean? So that's something that could improve with my Whoosh. They are expanding their systems it works on, and I see so many people getting mad at my Whoosh, and same thing on Zwift. It's not nearly as bad as Zwift, but people blame the software for their hardware issues. So that's something that I think I'm mixed feelings on. I want people to be on it, but also it's like, I don't want to be limited because I'm fortunate enough to have a system that will run pretty much anything you throw at it. But I would like some more out of the stem. Hopefully Indivillo comes around their graphics, and then Zwift, hopefully they start using more than one core, and then my Whoosh, I think they're on the right path. So we'll see how it goes as they start expanding their platforms.
The only issue I have really with my Whoosh is the lag in the data and the input going in. Like, when you have a direct connect, it's still laggy, and it shouldn't. It shouldn't be laggy with the direct connect, which if they support direct connect, it's weird.
It took me almost a half hour to figure out how to ride in that. And my guess is they delayed the World Championships so they could work on things like that, because you came up on someone at whatever 4 watts a kilogram and you want to draft them, like I just eased off and I got, it was such
a yo-yo. Yeah, you just. And I was
Man.
like when I first was doing my whoosh, I was like, oh, this, and this, and this. It's like, man. And then Barney was talking, man, it's a lot of yo-yo, and it's a very touchy system. And then he was like showing the delay, and I was like, yeah, there's a delay. And I'm like, I'm on direct connect. I think he's on direct connect as well. But that's kind of my only real issue with my whoosh. Obviously, more participation from real people and stuff like that. But from a graphical standpoint, a HUD standpoint, just a feel and look and everything, it's pretty good.
Mhm.
I like it.
Yeah.
I'm surprised as far as graphics go that these cycling apps haven't, taken note of most video games where you have 20 different graphics options in the settings that you can turn individual things down, because that would solve most of my whoosh's problems if you could turn everything way down so it's still rideable, you can still see what you're doing, or if you have a huge system you crank it way up. Like even Zwift has like 4 options, HD, ultra. Like give me 20 things that I can fine tune the system, I
understand that, but there's also people that don't know what they're doing, and sometimes making it simple for them, because it's simple devices, and like trying to create one UI when you support an Apple TV, like Apple TV is not going to give you a bunch of graphics choices. It's just going to play the thing. It's just going to play.
I fight that. I understand the simplicity of Apple TV, but I constantly argue on Facebook groups about the best thing possible. I said the Apple TV will work, but if you want to do anything else, it's easy to get a system that'll run Zwift without too much. I'm helping a local friend build a system. I think we've spent maybe $220 because he had an old PC literally from 2013. It had an i7 processor, and looking up Zwiftalizer, it runs fine. Like people with 1660 graphics cards you can pick up for anywhere from $50 to $75 used to 180 brand new. So like for about the cost of an Apple TV, a little bit more, he's going to have a PC that can do more than just sit there with that stupid remote people complain about and have Zwift. So like just for Zwift, it is simple to, if you have any small knowledge of someone with you, you can build a PC for pretty cheap.
That means they have to have like a PC setup though. There's a lot of people that put their trainers up in front of their TV, and they turn on Apple TV, they get their little workout in, and they're done.
I jump back and forth between Apple TV and my computer, because if I don't plan on streaming, the Apple TV turns on in about 1 second.
Yeah.
And I could be Zwifting in probably 4 seconds on an Apple TV as opposed to my computer of starting everything up. So it really depends. Yeah. And I do know the graphics are good enough on the Apple TV, but for that, it's just a convenience thing. Like, what am I going to do? I want to jump on my bike and do a 30-minute ride. Apple TV, boom. Yes, the remote sucks. And you got to like try to scroll 17 times.
Do you run out of Bluetooth devices? Is that why people...
That is the big problem with Apple TV is you get 2.
You can't run a keyboard for the Apple TV.
So what happens is even with the steering now, I have a choice of power, heart rate. That's it. If I want to do steering, then I got to turn my heart rate off. So it's sort of like, and that was actually when Apple updated their Apple TV, everyone was hoping, because it was going to have the new processor, the new GPU, and everyone was hoping that they would open up to like 5 or 6 Bluetooth, and they didn't. It was a huge fail because it had so much potential to be like, if it had 4 Bluetooth connections. And actually, that's one of the main decent features, I think, of the Zwift Hub trainer is you can run your heart rate through the trainer. So you can actually run.
But you can't go to Zwift with it.
There's only a few trainers that you can do that with. I think Jet Black is the...
No, I was going to say, because I've been looking at some of the trainers, the brand new ones coming out, you can pair a couple of devices to the trainer that broadcast it. But pretty much, from my experience this year or prior, the trainers themselves don't do that. Like Wahoo will integrate their climb into the trainer or the headwind, but that's it.
I think
They won't. It's a receiver, not a broadcaster. Is that what you're saying?
I think that would be beneficial for everyone is if all of your sensors paired to the trainer pairs to Zwift, and the trainer broadcasts everything, especially if you have a Wahoo that's direct connect, because the chances of it ever dropping out are very, very slim. So if all of your heart rate, and your heart rate's right there, the trainer is like 2 feet away from you. But that would relieve the Apple TV issue because it would have one connection.
Yeah.
Your Zwift Play.
There is a solution you can use. There is a solution you can use, but it's
I have a 4i Viva heart rate monitor that can be used as a Bluetooth receiver transmitter.
I think it's the cable, like the cable thing. It's like a whatever engineering.
It's called like the Northwest or
Northwest Engineering or Northwave or something like that. And then
the Viva can do the same thing.
You can do multiple Ant Pluses into it, and I think you can do multiple Bluetooths to it, maybe.
Yeah.
And then it goes into one Bluetooth.
Yeah, I have the Viva heart rate monitor from 4i, and if you go into their app, you can sync your power meter to the heart rate. Actually, that would be a good experiment. I should try to see if I can get the Zwift Play to go through the heart rate monitor into Apple TV.
Might not see it.
Maybe not, maybe, but yeah, if you compare something Bluetooth to your phone, the 4i app will see it and then use your heart rate monitor.
It actually does pair to the phone because it pairs to the Zwift app to update the firmware.
Yeah, so if it compared to the 4i app,
probably not.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try that tomorrow.
Probably not.
Let's see.
Speaking of the new year thing, I actually solved, or a friend of the show, Arrow Potato, he mentioned that it's the Intel Bluetooth on the motherboards of the majority of PCs out there that are giving people issues with the Zwift Play connection. And so I bought a Bluetooth USB dongle to get a separate Bluetooth device so that I could have better Bluetooth connectivity to my PC, and that worked. So
yeah, that's kind of like you said, interesting. Cause I have a separate Wi-Fi and Bluetooth PCI card there, and that's a frustrating thing that I don't know if it's the Intel side or the Zwift side to it, but I have issues even with Zwift and that. But all the other platforms I've used, boom, just like that, they connect. So it might fix it, but I still do think there's some issues within Zwift recognizing things. It's kind of odd, but I hope that does fix your issue.
I haven't had not as many issues as Brian has. Mine's been fairly solid, but I do notice, I don't know if this is like in my own head, but I feel that it turns right faster than it turns left.
It does when you're not getting the stronger connection. And I haven't done the steering with the new Bluetooth, so I need to test that.
It's weird too because my left play is 42 centimeters closer to my computer than the one. But I just noticed that, like, it just seems like
latency a little bit more.
One, it goes right. When you hit left, it's like, yeah, okay, we're gonna go left.
I don't want to get in the weeds as I yawn on camera here, but you should connect one and then the other and then test it and see if they swap. Because I've had that before, where you connected one and then you connect the second one, and the one that you connect first is actually more responsive. So try that.
Like Pookie in chat saying his left disconnects multiple times. Right.
That's is Pookie's sometimes on a Mac, so that should be okay with Bluetooth. But if he's on a PC, check that, Pookie.
Well, I have this sitting around. I was going to do that next.
That's the one I got.
Bluetooth. Yeah, Bluetooth Wi-Fi dongle.
And I just ran a little USB extender. That's so it dangles off of my computer, so it's not right next to my computer. All right. We got 20 minutes to get before the hour. Let's try to fit this in here. since this is going to be like the last show for 2023, everyone, because we're not going to do next week and then the week following because of the holidays. What is your top thing from 2023, and what's the worst thing or not the thing you were happy about for 2023? And then we're going to have, what are we looking forward to in 2024? So I'll go Lee. Lee, what do you think is your top thing, or your,
oh my goodness,
good news or bad news first?
Well, I think for 2023 overall was decent. Despite being excessively fat, that was probably the low. I had personal records in my 1 minute, 2 minute, 10-minute power. So I was pretty pumped about that. Just carrying, 50 extra pounds, which is going into 2024, the main goal. Like, if I can maintain the fitness level, I probably was the most fit I've ever been in my life, except for being fat in 2023. So if I can maintain this fitness level and keep it going and just get rid of some of this weight, I should have a fantastic 2024.
Okay, what's the worst thing, or the thing you
worst thing?
The
Being
thing where you
fat.
Okay, so
Like,
fitness is good.
Literally, yeah.
Body weight, body composition is not good.
Oh, I just did the BWR, felt fantastic. Took 6 hours, just looking at all my power charts, just going, man. Like, for example, here's a funny example. Peter Moog races for OMG in Zwift. He did the 220K BWR. I did the 110. He's like 140 pounds, maybe. He averaged the same wattage that I did, like 170 watts. My average speed, 17.7 kilometers per hour. His, 26.8. He went almost 10 kilometers an hour faster just because of weight. Like, give me a freaking break. Yeah. Like, that is like a wake-up call. Like, I'm just like carrying gigantic bags of sand on my bike right now. Like, it's insane. Like, I looked at his Strava and I was like, you freaking 26.8? And he bonked. Like,
oh yeah,
I don't even do 26.8 on my road bike right now, let alone like a gravel race.
All right, Brian.
My biggest thing for
you
this
got
year.
A fan going on? I gotta give you your audio. What's going on? You have a fan?
It's our bathroom is right above me.
All right.
And the water goes right above me into someone's showering. So it must be one of my dogs.
I'll give you my what I'm looking forward to in 2024. People with better audio. That's what I'm looking forward to. Especially you.
Yeah. Well,
I'm glad you're next to a septic tank. Perfect for the show, right?
I made changes to my mic, and then I said I need to do this, and then I didn't. Is that virtual cable thing, so I could take my OBS settings to plug it into this, because this is just OBS or NVIDIA broadcast. Obviously, it's not doing that good of a job, but hey, I guess it's better than some.
It's good enough.
Yeah. But hopefully I do get a new mic. So we'll see what Santa does, because I've had some weird comments from my wife. It's like she either hates me or she don't want me to buy anything because she knows.
Santa. There we go. All right, Brian.
My biggest thing for me personally is I've had the knee replacement. I was pretty decent before, and I want to see how this recovery goes, because already, today's 30 days after surgery, and like I've gained 7 kilograms. Fitness ain't, like I rode 54 minutes today, finished 130th out of 200 dead. Couldn't, just, I have a lot of work to do. And I'm hoping to balance out the left-right balance in my leg. If I could do that, I'd be super happy. Even if I don't ever return back to like my 340 watt FTP, if I could just balance that out, I'll be super stoked. And I think
wait. You did a race.
Yeah.
A month removed from knee surgery. You're doing a Zwift race. Yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
That's amazing.
The other thing is, you're not you're feeling like you're not fitness wise strong enough, or this is all new muscles because you're having to have like a new knee?
Well, it's a combination of weight because, like, in my mind, I'm heading into Libby Street or wherever the heck this thing is, and I'm like, okay, I could push 400, 420. You know what I mean? On this. Okay. Well, that used to be like 5.4 watts per kilogram or something. Now it's like 4.8. So I'm, mentally, I'm like, okay, I can stick it with this group. Well, I have to push, more watts at the same or less watts per kilogram. So that's the fitness that I'm needing. Like I have dropped severely. I think I was like 60 CTL before, and I'm like in the 30s now. So, it's not terrible, but it's just building back up. Prior to surgery, I had a, 25 wattish, 25 to 30 watt difference in the legs. Now that they've fixed the knee and they actually removed a bone from, it was just like a random bone just growing. It was the weirdest, craziest thing I've ever seen, they said. Now that that's out of my leg, hopefully I can get that strength. And my issue now is where they remove that, the muscle trauma from them removing it, because it had grown onto that. So it's going to be a little bit of time for me to truly start training.
For the visual audience here, I'll try to explain it. So you're saying your bone. So like I have my finger sticking up.
Well,
you had a bone sticking out of your body or out of your other bone, or you had it just floating in muscle mass?
Yeah. You can see this scar right here.
All right, everyone. There's like a large scar on top of his thigh.
So large.
This was my original
like
scar.
7 to 8 centimeters.
This probably is about 5 to 6 inches. So, and then the total is 11 and a half.
Okay.
This bone growth separate wasn't part of the femur. It was just randomly growing, stretched from here all the way across and up to here. And that was just growing in there.
Across like horizontally across the above the kneecap.
Was trying to grow a new knee.
The surgeon, the fellow of the surgeon has a picture on his cell phone, and the surgeon's going to get it to me because it was literally the talk of the hospital that day. Like they were like 3 people came in just amazed that they'd heard about it and wanted to come talk to me. Not that they even were in the surgery. They just heard about this.
You're like the bone guy now.
Yeah, my knee was totally in leg. It was totally shot.
The fact that you're riding a bike is unbelievable, because the moment you said you had knee surgery, I thought we were going to have to get Pookie to send you his hand bike thing.
Yeah.
So you could do that for the next 3 months.
Pookie was doing this thing. He took like an under this like Beer Bear. Beer Bear had like when Beer Bear had his surgery, and he was doing just his feet, and Pookie was just doing this. But like hand cycles are actually like this. You're supposed to use 2 hands. I mean, Pookie was just doing what he was doing. But it's the 2 forces that creates that sort of momentum, and then you rest. Pookie was doing like this for hours just to get the work in.
That was incredible. That was.
Yeah. So, well, very cool.
Like a week later, you were on your bike.
It was 2 weeks I was riding. It was less than 15 minutes. Now I went a little longer than I should have, honestly. But
I didn't tell you to do that either.
No, it was a joke. That was pretty funny.
We're following the proper regulations of recovery from a knee surgery. We're not.
Yeah.
Consult your physician if you live in the United States.
Yeah, that's the downfall.
Your medical professional. If you live in Europe or some other place where they don't sue everybody, then you don't need to worry about it. But in the United States, I don't know about Canada, maybe Canada too, but there are disclaimers that need to be said.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about my knee replacement, I'm gonna have to have it again by the time I'm like 60. But they did it a different style. They didn't drill into my bones. So like they basically just put like liquid nails on there and stuff this stuff on there. Is what
they gorilla glued you.
Yeah, because on last Monday I said, "Hey, I have a legit question. Like, what can I do to hurt this?" He said, "Unless you're in a complete chaotic, tragic accident, you can't hurt this. I'm like, are you serious? He said, yeah. He said, you're good to go. So I was like, no way, which is completely the opposite of what I was expecting. My specific knee joint had never hurt. It's always been the muscles. But so I'm excited to see what that will bring this coming year. The fact that I can actually walk right now, well, I can't walk, but I can move around without pain in the knee. It's phenomenal. I mean, I still have a lot of problems walking because I was missing about 12 degrees of motion. So my muscles have to learn, hey, I have to do something for that. But that's the biggest thing about 2024 for me personally. Hopefully, I'm really curious how Zwift is going to handle moving forward with racing because they're bringing the Zwift games. That's going to be interesting. And I'm curious to see how my whoosh does with the UCI World Championships. So those are my two kind of things I'm looking forward to is where those two platforms go. And I'm sure I was thinking you might bring it up. I don't want to steal your thunder, but I am kind of sad to see RGT go. The more serious platforms that are gone, it's worse because I don't see anything but IndyVelo, Zwift, and my whoosh being like a race platform. The others are just you ride. They're just like to do something to entertain yourself.
Yeah. So carry on that. My negative is the RGT shuttering. Whether it was their choice or their agreement or whatever it was, it's just gone. That's it. That bums me out. For personal thing, it was like winning the national championships back in February of this year. Again, it's a validation. I already kind of felt validated, but it was nice to go out and win, and do it from a place of where I thought that I could get away or do an attack or something like that, and then hold it off. That was kind of cool. The thing I'm looking forward to is hearing, like what you're saying, is from Zwift more, my whoosh and stuff like that. You know what I really like? I'd like to hear from Zwift, like their CEO, their co-CEOs, or somebody to like, maybe they had like a town hall or something like that where they can talk about, hey, I'm the new guy. I'm the guy from Amazon. Because Strava just has a new CEO they just hired too.
Yeah.
Who's a guy. So, it's kind of nice to hear from
like the YouTube CEO or something like that.
Yeah, I think he came from YouTube, or I think he was somewhere. And to go, hey, we're doing the Zwift Games thing. We're doing because there's so much stuff that was announced in like the last 2 weeks. There was the levels increase. Then there's like all the other stuff that's coming out, like the Zwift Games. It's like first quarter of like 2024 is going to be, it seems like a year's worth of stuff that they're going to be, that they're like fitting in. And then they're talking about Zwift avec Thom, right? That's coming back again. They're going to do events around that probably. So,
The Strava CEO was at Disney, Nike, and NBC Universal. So that's where he come from.
Yeah.
So Nike touches on the sport aspect. So I'm really curious to see what Strava will do. Personally, and this is a negative for me, Strava has become pointless for me. That's
like
a negative.
Power. Like Zwift Power.
I'm a big King of the Mountain guy locally. Like,
all right. Time to brag. Here we go. Brian White from West Virginia.
I got knee surgery.
Yeah, I got 15 people to compete against. Okay, like this, I go to Pittsburgh, an hour north, and like I'm just your regular schmuck. But just here in my little bubble,
you run West Virginia. Let's go.
Yeah, but I will never pay for it. The only thing I don't know. It's gotten beyond what it is meant to be for me. I don't know. I feel with its current direction, it's going to be gone.
This is not the show for Strava fans. Lee has his opinions. I really don't care about it, but
I only use Strava for syncing because it syncs to everything. It's like a sync
Yeah.
hub for me.
Yeah, it's
That's
like a
it.
syncer thing.
It's
I-
not.
Yeah, go
It
ahead.
doesn't do anything well. Like it doesn't. It's not a great training program, so you don't want to really use it for training. It gives you fitness scores, but you're kind of like, there's other ones that do training way better.
I did
Yeah.
use the messenger. I did. Ned Bowen hit me up on the messenger. That's how Ned found me. He messaged
It's
me.
not a great social media
No.
site,
but
or
it was
socials.
effective for what we needed. So thanks, Ned.
what-
that was cool. That was
Taco
actually
is saying-
permanent intervals.
I would pay $4 or $5 a month for live segments and these segments. If they want to charge, I'm not paying the $10 a month or whatever the heck it is now. Like,
what are live segments?
well, because of the King of the Mountains. Okay, so on my Karoo, and actually, I got a couple things I figured out. I don't ride outside hardly ever, but when I went to Snowshoe and in July, so June and July, I paid for Strava, just the individual month, and I had my live segments. My Karoo 2 hadn't been on for 4 months. I turned it on, went for an outside ride with some buddies, and I get all the live segments. I never refreshed my Karoo 2, so it never talked to Strava to be like, hey, he's not a subscriber. I still got live segments. So I don't know if this was just because it'd been 4 months, but I still get them. So that's one way around it. And also, I wanted to change my payment method with Zwift because I paused it and then I was like, I want to cancel it and then just switch from using PayPal to like my debit card. You get 2 weeks free when you change payment method for a month. And then if you do the year, you get a month. So if you do the whole entire year, the annual plan, you get 3 months free because they give you a free month and then a 2.
This is Tech Tips with Brian. How to get around stuff.
Yeah, something I just found,
All right.
But yeah, I would not
You
mind
didn't answer
paying.
my question. I'm like, what are live segments? And you still haven't answered my question. You taught me how to get around Strava Premium and everything, but I just want to know about live segments.
All right, say coming up my hill, it's 3/4 of a mile. I'm like 4th on it. Well, it takes my personal record's like 3:58, and my friend is 3:28. Well, I don't know if I'm ever going to get to 3:28 because that was really impressive. But
3 minutes and 28 seconds.
Yeah, 3 minutes, 28 seconds, and mine's 3:58. So if I'm going up, I can watch my closest friend that I follow on Strava, my personal record, or if I'm the King of the Mountain, to see how far ahead I am. So it's as you're doing a segment, you could see, hey, I'm at my personal record, or like, oh shit, look at this, I've almost got the King of the Mountain. I'm going to push through whatever pain I have. It's a good training tool. I find it a good training tool if I'm doing long segments, because if I'm going for a segment, I can follow along on there. Like the shorter ones, you just go balls to the wall and whatever happens.
In pace.
Yeah. So that's to me, like this summer I took some longer ones, like 10, 12, 15 miles. And the Karoo is very generous with their times. Like I'm like 4 seconds ahead. So I'm really pushing. Well, here, when Strava uploaded the file, I was a minute and a half ahead. So that's what I enjoy out of it. Like if I'm, and even if I want to,
can't you just do the segment without having the live segments?
Oh yeah, you
go
can.
hard and then upload it and see what happens.
I used to use that for TT racing. I made a segment of our TT course, and I could live in real time see how close I was to my personal best on the TT course.
And that's
I was making my split.
And that's helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mentally.
So if you know that you're mentally, you're going slower, you're like, I need to pick it up.
Yeah.
But if you're going faster,
like on days where you're actually, every TT race you do, you're trying to better yourself. But I have a very hard time with pacing. I'll usually go out way too hard. So it would help me pace, because if I was riding and looking down and it goes, you are bang on your personal record, I know, okay, let's just hold this.
Oh, okay.
And
for pacing.
I'd hit the turnaround. Yeah. And I'd hit the turnaround and go, I'm 2 seconds ahead of my personal record. Okay. Keep this pace. Don't go any harder. Just keep ahead, and then maybe as you got 2 or 3 kilometers to go, then you can go, okay, I have a bit more in me. Let's kick it up a notch and really push. rather than
I need
me
to try this
pushing
then.
at the beginning
Yeah.
and then blowing up, which is usually what happens.
We are kind of lucky because we have an 18-mile one way. So it's like, it's like whatever, 36 miles out and back. And I like it for that. Like if you are flying, you're like 26 miles an hour and say the 4, 5, 6, 7 mile segment is at 26, and then all of a sudden you get a big headwind at you, or maybe you're flying and you got a tailwind. That for me helps me kind of like, okay, it's worth it to bury myself for these, 20 minutes, whatever it's going to be to cross this segment.
Okay.
Or it's like, hey, if I'm putting 420 watts out and I'm losing time on whoever it is, then I just back out of the effort and do whatever.
And this
Like
goes
if
to your Karoo, or do you have to watch it on your phone?
You can have it on Garmin or a Karoo.
Yeah.
But
No,
basically
we
what
don't have time.
happens
We
is
don't have time for show and tell, Brian.
No. I'm just saying, it's literally it pops up in the bottom on the Karoo, has little tabs. You just pull it up, and you can see the course profile and your little dot where you're at.
Okay,
So it's all off your head.
I would think that I would need it for like a solo break or a time trial, but when I'm racing for other things or training, I do a lot of perceived effort, like a lot of or perceived exertion or whatever it is, RPE or PE, perceived exertion. That's how I pace myself all the time.
And just to be clear, when I say live segments, it's not like live versus the people behind you in a race. It's live versus your individual effort versus what's recorded on Strava, because you have to like select the segment and then sync it to your device.
Yeah, so that's why my question is like, if you know you need to go hard, go hard. But I understand what Lee was saying is, if you know that, hey, I'm pacing myself well, and I'm going as fast as what I was going before, and this is the fastest I can get. And then when you have some of the left in the tank, then you got to know, don't leave anything on the course. You need to finish across the line without going, oh, I should have gone harder, because I was looking at my live segments and I was staying paced correctly. But if you could push that pace and you hold things back because you're looking at a live segment, that's where I would think like just race, like just don't look at anything and go hard. Does that make sense?
No, I understand.
All right.
Sorry, I was checking I got to pick up my wife from the airport.
You got to go. We're good because it's already it's an hour.
Our flight was delayed, and that's what I was checking there. That's okay. But yes.
Any questions from the audience? Let's go. Let's go to the callers. No?
Nope.
Nobody's here. All right, perfect. That's it. Let's wrap it up. It's been a pleasure for a month here. My doggy's here.
2024.
Holidays, everybody.
Yes. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Hopefully everyone has a good time.
Yeah, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back strong, maybe with some music. I'll talk to you. I'll gotta talk to Beats, and I got to fill out the little thing and get him going. And then I'll get that to you, Lee. You're probably enjoying Mexico. When I hear, oh, I'm going to Mexico, I just think of like people that did that when I was in San Diego. It's just like, I'm not a resort town person, but I don't know where you're going. Don't listen to me. Enjoy your time there. Play the music. Here you go. All right, music's playing. Enjoy Mexico, Brian. Enjoy the first official. When do you think you're gonna have official race for your like? Hey, my knee's good. I'm good. Let's go.
My hope is about 4 weeks from now, but we'll see.
Okay.
So
say 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, Canada versus the world. Yeah, I have ENATS, so you guys won't see me until after ENATS.
Yeah.
It'll probably be that Sunday night. It'll probably be the 7th, Sunday the 7th. So we'll try to figure that out. All right, music's playing. Oh, it sounds great. Great job, Beats. Appreciate it. Any final thoughts? That's it. Let's get out of here.
Everyone have a good one.
Have a good one. Happy holidays.
Hey, see you guys.
Happy New Year.